Ante up! Check that fool! Ante up! Email that fool! Dear Carbine, why don't you play more Plants vs. Zombies? I really like those videos, and they got a lot of views too. I think it can be a good way to reset your channel. Sincerely, Phong Tran, Hanoi. Dear Feng Shui, Plants vs. Zombies, huh? The last PvZ video I made was, 9 months ago? There are moms who have gotten pregnant and given birth before I made a new PvZ video. But I am so done with all that noise. I refuse to put all my eggs in that breadbasket so as to corner myself worse than Jimmy Karaoke. That guy said every new game with hot ladies was the new hotness, but 3 months later, it'd be the best game you never played. What a gooberman. Anyway, no more peasers from me, thanks. But the Chips was saying he was gonna do a video himself. So, let's see what he's been, cooking up. Hey, Deep Fry, let me see what you've been up to.
Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to Flower vs. Dead 2 Reflourished. Today I'm gonna show you level 3.
Oh no.
Oh wow, this is so great. I love the peas and the peppers. Wow, look at that cool anime lady. I'm a Lennon original. Alright, thank you all for watching. Please rate me 4 stars on my web zone.
I mean, that was pretty alright. Let me see that view count. What? Oh, that's it. Change of plans, Sonny. We're going back in.
This is culturally inappropriate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Plants vs. Zombies is known for its mods these days. You know the drill already. And since my previous video from September 2025, Jesus, a lot has changed. Empires have risen and more have fallen, and more than ever, it pays to offer both novelty and quality in equal measure. Plants vs. Zombies Waste, or Waste vs. Zombies if you prefer, is one of such little ditties that have been brought to my attention, and its premise? Every plant gets significantly nerfed or changed in a primarily negative way, but so does every zombie. And in theory, the experience should still be balanced, but vastly different from the original. I quite enjoy this approach. When there's 1,000 people making super destructo fuck plants versus epic mega god zombies, I can appreciate a mod creator going in the complete opposite direction. And you might be asking, could I have just put this video into a compilation, just like last time and 2 other times before? Yes I could have. But this is a new Carbine. A Carbine who has graduated and doesn't have much money. A Carbine that refuses to put so much effort into his videos, and one who is very jealous of his friends. In fact, I'm so lazy I won't even shoot for the camera this time. Nope. Let us first talk about how I even played this mod. And let's get one thing crystal clear, PvZ 1 mods and working properly the first time do not go together at all, at least on my computer. Every time I open a PvZ mod and attempt to full screen it, it'll start choking and stuttering really badly. The game was unplayable, unless I played in a tiny window without 3D acceleration, fully in software like I was running Doom on a 386. That's why the first stream had a massive cursor, by the way. I asked for help multiple times on PvZ Discords to no avail, but once again, the greatest website ever, PC Gaming Wiki, came through. They recommended that I use a tool called DGVoodoo 2. I just have to get 4 files and copy them straight into my folder, and with the help of Hungarian voodoo magic, it works like a charm. I tried this method on every single PvZ 1 mod I had, and even vanilla PvZ, it worked perfect every time. Highly recommended. Alright, let us begin. The first few plants we get are some real tone setters. The pea shooter is now a kernel shooter. Compared to a pea shooter, it does 3/4 the damage for 3/4 the price. And very fortunately, it's one of the least changed and lowest maintenance plants in the entire game. The sunflower has a little antenna on its head because it's also a potato mine. After 10 seconds, it'll explode once a zombie runs into it. But Just in case you thought it'd be amazing for backline defense, the fuse will run out after a while and turn it back into a regular inert sunflower. And oh yeah, the zombies get nerfed too. You can hear in 1.1 that they actually start eating each other if they walk too close to one another. Clever joke about cannibalism here. Level 3 introduces us to this guy. Yes, the zombie who is allergic to plants. Instant death upon contact. Its only purpose is to act as a body blocker for any number of more dangerous zombies behind it. Otherwise, it folds under no pressure. I somehow didn't understand this for the entire duration of the game and never took advantage of it once. Oh well. But speaking of blocking, here we have the garlic nut. It does block, technically, but it then moves zombies to another lane after a slight delay. Honestly, the delay part is the one that does the work, and not the nut part. What's really funny is that this effect is also in the bowling level. Hitting an enemy with garlic nut will actually proc the garlic effect, a level of attention to detail that I was not expecting to encounter. You know what's also unexpectedly good? The Scaredy Mine. If you put it on the ground, it will instantly pop up, but if anyone walks towards it, it shrivels right back into the ground like a bitch, becoming totally inert. Well, how would you even use it then? Thinks you probably. You just have to place it directly on top of an enemy. At 0 sun cost, the Scaredy Mine is actually kinda OP, because it deals a lot of damage, suitable in situations where a single kernel shooter could prove to be inadequate. I believe that this plant represents the peak of PvZ Waste design. The plant is weaker than its vanilla counterpart, but it gains functionality in other areas, shifting its use case while still remaining faithful to the original plant's concept, allowing for highly unique interactions you would never get otherwise. Here's another example. The Fire and Ice toothpaste pea shoots, you guessed it, normal peas. You might think, boo, that's so boring. But watch, what if you placed 2 of them in a row? Ah, you see now? That's scientific, baby. However, this setup costs an eye-watering 450 sun, which is 18 sun pickups to defend 1 lane. Yeesh. And of course, the game also has some absolute dog doo-doo stinker plants nobody should use ever. Here is the Chomper. One-shots everything, instantly heals, 50 sun. Too good to be true? Abso-fucking-lutely. The Chomper only has a small chance to actually eat anything and will otherwise just vanish. It's not even a good gamble because there are other plants that can do what it does but better. Under no circumstances should you ever use this plant. It is absolute waste. On the zombie side, they added this guy. Yeah, the pole vaulter is not good at his job at all. Although it'll still serve you to be careful, they run really fast and can act as blocker for more dangerous creatures in the back. Zombotany zombies are also added to the mix quite early, and that means wall garlic gets a second purpose as a shot blocker. See, it is useful. And that concludes World 1. So far, I felt I was getting pretty into it. The difficulty was just right, nothing felt punishing or difficult, rather atypical of PvZ 1 mods to be honest. Quality of life was also on point, with an easily accessible speed up button and ability to see plant and enemy health. However, the latter will prove to be a bit too powerful. For now though, those devs gave me a night exclusive plant in daytime, so I'm excited to finally start using it. Nighttime, my second least favorite world after Foggy Pool Night, of course. I'm just not a big fan of having to use low-cost plants that deal piddly damage. And speaking of, here's the Puffcorn. Much like its cousin Kernel Shooter, it's functionally identical to the vanilla counterpart, just weaker. Still, it's free, does some damage, and can be walls for more substantial damage sources, like the Shroom Peter over here. This one does good damage, shoots twice, costs 125, and the only downside is that you can't use it during the day, or else it'd be in every single one of my loadouts. They also introduced the golden newspaper zombie here, and after his paper gets destroyed, he shamefully walks backwards into oblivion, and allegedly, soft locks my fucking game. No. No! No, 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 no. Mọi người còn nhớ cái con đi ngược không? Tôi nghĩ là cái con đấy nó đang... Và tôi không giết được nó. No matter, I just beat it again. Most successful people don't get things right on the first try anyway.
I'm killing myself. I will not, actually. I will not ever. Because I am so resilient. I am so resilient.
As expected, sunflowers were inadequate for this nocturnal stage, so in comes the sun shroom to provide more quantity over quality. But what's the diff, you ask? Because apparently you're in a hurry? Well, it starts big, then shrinks to small after a short while, where it will remain permanently.
What, like my cock?
The next plant is the fuming shroom, which is very powerful. It's probably the best and highest damage dealing plant in World 2, but in the same way as in life, having too much power is damaging to friendships and relationships, possibly leaving you isolated, with the only ones able to hang around you being the ones who bow to your feet. AKA, anything taller than a puff shroom will take damage if you place it in front of it. That works too. Following the surprisingly hard whack-a-mole level, we get the Wasted Hypno Shroom. A plant whose original version hypnotizes an enemy into attacking its compatriots? I wonder what a worse version of that would even look like. Oh. I mean, I guess compared to hurting other zombies, it just straight up dying is indeed a downgrade. But the zombie this plant was meant to counteract, it does not shy from collateral damage. You are hearing the delectable sounds of the football zombie bowling the shit out of its friends. Next and finally is the Wastified Doom Shroom. I think you can probably assume what this is. Just see for yourself. Tôi là một người làm như thế. Oh! Art imitates life. A real nuclear blast would bear no mind to anything surrounding it, living or dead, and it's only fitting that the Waste Doom Shroom's destruction is absolute. I am become death, the destroyer of plants and zombies. However, this makes this plant highly impractical, and should only be used at the very end of the final wave of a level. Or of course, on a conveyor belt stage. World 2 complete. All things considered, nighttime wasn't really that bad. It was actually pretty fun, and crucially, every new plant I obtained did exactly what I wanted it to, every time mostly. But pool is where it all takes a sharp left turn. Meet the Torn Lily Pad. It costs 0 sun, and it lets you put plants on the water. Cool. It also does this. Uh-oh. Oh no! Folks, the lily pad has a 20% chance to sink, bringing along that precious plant you just bought. Fuck that! If I was just praising Waste for its creative nerfs, this just feels like an arbitrary bullshit thing they added because they couldn't think of a better way to change a lily pad. And as a result, I had to deal with this fuck off a lot. Pool is the first world of the game to introduce multiple plants that I actively despise, beginning with this glasses-wearing squash that can only squish enemies that are behind the current enemy. Why? It's a unique change, I guess, but it utterly trashes this plant's usefulness in any occasion besides 2 zombies being directly on top of one another, since that way, both of them will die. I suppose it could also act as a blocker against some Zobotany pea shooters. That's cool. And keeping up on the theme of impracticality, it's 2-headed snow pea. It shoots on the lanes above and below the one it's standing at, which sounds alright, until you read that it can only shoot if there's a zombie directly in front of it. To recap, it can only shoot here if there is a zombie walking here. As you can expect, the consequences are dire. This plant that can't fend for itself and charges an eye-watering 150 sun on a 25 sun meta belongs in the trash. What also doesn't help is that the volume of zombies has gone way up. Even the nerfed snorkel zombie that has to pop up and breathe is a significant threat, especially when you realize that there aren't any insta-kill plants on water. Looking back at the footage, my ground defense was highly reliant on the zero-cost Scaredy Mine for good damage on tougher enemies, reaffirming the theory is that free plants are just inherently broken. The only free plant you get in the water though is the Tangle Kelp, which tangles. Yay! This low-ass 25 sun meta, plus the lack of plants that can reliably pick off high health targets, means that this world was the hardest yet. Popcorn popping torchwood is cool and all, but when you don't have a real walnut standing there to delay enemies, yeah, it's gonna hurt. They instead gave you this thing! I'm not even gonna show you what it does, and its only good purpose is blocking dolphin riders. There are also fewer zombies that hurt themselves in this world, and now we just get inferior vanilla ones, such as the Snowless Zamboni and Snowless Bobsled team. It was quite a lot to handle, and resulted in my worst performance yet, with 3 whole mowers gone. But man, the worst was yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the #1 hater of vision obscuring mechanics in games. I like seeing things happening when I'm playing a game. I don't like fog of war. So when it was time for Foggy Pool World, exactly 0.2 seconds were spent deciding whether to leave the health bars on. Hey, the devs gave us free cheats. Who am I to say no to them, right? Of course, not everything free is worth taking. They couldn't just stick to giving me a worse and lower damage sea shroom. No. They had to make it slide along the water, which means it perpetually moves forward 1 square every 2 seconds or so. Yeah, this makes it incredibly prone to dying whilst dealing absolutely no damage in the first place, meaning it holds no value to me except as a joke. But even as a joke, it's one that no one finds funny. Like 9/11.
I play a window washer who has just finished washing the last window at a World Trade Center. And then I turn around to get off the scaffold, and what do you think I see coming?
Oh no! No, sir, no!
I'm not watching that.
And I go, come on!
The garlic nut zombie had already appeared in previous worlds, but in this one it actually plays a big role. Whenever a plant gets eaten by one of these, it will be moved to a different lane, which can predictably wreak havoc on a defense. However, the garlic nut can move plants onto any lane with no exceptions, meaning on water without a lily pad, and even on top of other plants. This actually benefits me by putting plants on the water without risking the 20% chance of deletion. It's quite an unconventional buff/nerf, and I like it. You know what I don't like though? Plants that are made to just counter one singular zombie. Alas, they continue to persist, and an egregious example is the wastified cactus. Its singular purpose on this planet is to foil those dastardly balloon boys from hovering their way over my defense, disregarding anything more useful it could be doing down below. $50 for a preventative measure against one singular zombie? No thank you. I'd like a reactive cure with plenty of side effects, please. Fuck. Trời ơi. Oh no. No! Nguy hiểm, nguy hiểm, nguy hiểm. Nguy hiểm, rất nguy hiểm, rất nguy hiểm. This is arguably the plant that helps zombies the most, and inarguably the most impactful Zombotany plant in the game. I felt like I was going to be in some serious trouble with these guys around, so I made an executive decision to play bowling for more pocket change. It was actually hard as hell, so much so that I couldn't even focus on collecting coins. I did barely scrape by and beat it, and my reward is being able to buy the best plant in the game so far, the garlic cattail. It's hard to overstate just how good cattails are, even in spite of its garlicky downside. A plant that can hit anything on the field at any time will just always be good, and in fact, the constant switching can literally save the cattails from certain death. Having 2 or 3 of them on the field makes the later stages of World 4 so much easier. And on top of that, because it's an upgrade to the lily pad, it has absolutely no chance of sinking underwater, meaning your 225 sun investment is worth every penny. And the good news just keeps coming, because they finally gave me the first real walnut of the game in 4.7. And it's a fucking pumpkin. You guessed it, the pumpkin doesn't protect the plant inside at all, but the 4000 HP more than makes up for it, since you can use it as an actually reliable blocker for only 100 sun. I am so angry that they didn't give this to me earlier. Instead they gave me... Huh? The final level of Fog World is the Flashing Lightning. As a small atonement to my health bar cheating, I treated this level with utmost respect by playing it without health bars and in normal speed. And it was tense. For every 10 seconds of black is 1 second of light, and being required to defend your lawn in pitch darkness makes it feel so much more uncomfortable. I know I said I hated vision impairing mechanics in video games, but this was executed really well. And it was in this level that I finally understood the power of the Shroom Star. I had brushed it off earlier because I expected it to be a regular ass starfruit, just worse. What I hadn't considered was placing it in close range, as it is a literal gloom star. It wipes the floor with basically any zombie, and I have to thank this conveyor belt level for doing this plant justice. It will play a big role in the next world. My thoughts on World 4 is that it was pretty hard. I had to think on my feet a lot of the time, and there were a significant amount of close calls and mowers spent. Lawnmowers really are OP as hell, aren't they? I was multitasking my ass off, feeling like one of those movie secretaries that answer 4 phones at the same time, especially because my ADHD told me to play the game at 2 times speed. It was still a worthy challenge, but God, I felt like I needed a massive break after that. Happily, that's exactly what we got. The plant reward for 4-10 is the P-Pult, and its description reads, better price to performance. For 50 sun, you get a plant that comfortably outclasses the kernel shooter in every way, really indicating to me that this chapter is one for relaxation. On top of that, they give you a kernel pult that will only shoot if it rolls butter, but has a 1% chance to do this. After the discovery of the Fume Star's true power, this world was an utter cakewalk. Any wave of zombies with any tier of zombie, doesn't matter. The stars cut through them like a knife through Nicole, killing everything before I even get a chance to see what they do. Although, the zombies really don't help themselves. The bungee has to be the most traitorous of them all. I wonder, what is the opposite of stealing plants? Oh, giving you more of them, of course, directly assisting in their own friend's demise. At least the bungees are also responsible for the most ridiculous and chaotic stage in the entire game. No, bắn ra tiền. No, trừ tiền. No. Tôi không muốn. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Oh my god! Just look at this gameplay. I didn't even know what was happening most of the time, but they kept spawning these shitty ass plants that either cost money to shoot or take money for no reason. Luckily, it's still a conveyor belt level, and those are still easy. Everything that came after was no issue at all, but I'd just like you to see what they did to the Gargantuar. Gargantuars are the most tanky, most feared enemies in all of Plants vs. Zombies, the closest thing the game has to a mini-boss. They are a symbol of power and strength. Now take a look at this. Nó đứng yên ạ. Nó đứng yên. Nó không làm gì hết. You know, I almost feel bad. I almost do. But I don't. One largely mediocre, largely unchanged final boss later, and we have finally completed Plants vs. Zombies Waste Edition. Plants vs. Zombies Waste, with all things considered, was a pretty enjoyable and consistent romp. Not every plant was changed in a practical and enjoyable fashion. Some of them were done clearly to piss off the player. mission accomplished. But at the end of the day, I can still highly recommend this game to fans of PvZ. It's got a unique concept, great execution, good quality of life, and offers more challenging gameplay without stepping into the realm of Kaizo difficulty that so many mods seem to fall into. I enjoyed it. And if you, dear viewer, have enjoyed watching this video, consider giving me a like, a subscription, and maybe comment down below what you'd like me to play next that's not Plants vs. Zombies. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Peace.